live here. Hopefully the internet holds up. All right. If you're just tuning in, doing a little live stream here from my home away from home with some family. We're gonna wait till some other people hop in, but yeah, here we are. Put out the all call. What's up, everybody? Just telling all the NYC crew that this is happening because they tend to be a little late. evX YouTube channel. Oh, it's help if I can spell YouTube. Oh look, Jason from emails is emailing me. We'll get back to him later. Cool, what's up, everybody? If you're here, say what's up. Oh, NYCEUC. I keep... Who? I thought you're Chris, right? Because, you know, Dimitri, his company is called NYCEUC. So that always throws me off. Cheers, everybody. Today I'm drinking some Longboard Island Lager because we basically blew through the IPAs. That's what happens when you're living that life at home, stuck at home. Right on, right on. So today I'm streaming from my home away from home, as I was saying earlier. I'm with some family here in Florida. So I'm in the office setting, of which I brought my office from my work here. So this is what you're seeing on screen here. This is like, part of it's cut out, but I have my GUI monitor here, my reference display monitor here. And I've got my control surface for color grading here, and my Stream Deck going on over here. Obviously it's a keyboard over here. Got my Oculus Quest in the background, but all that stuff is my family's office area. Updates on new releases. This is always a hot topic. I have spoke to InMotion even more about their latest release. I'm being told not to tell anything about it. But let me see if I can cleverly say out loud what I can say. InMotion in the past has been very... You know what? I don't want to say InMotion. I just feel like all the wheel companies suffer from this, so we'll see what happens. But they've been like not the greatest at nailing deadlines. So we'll see. But they're promising like a May release or something. But I think that their new wheel sounds extremely promising. Are they... I'll come back to that. Are they really shutting down NYC? Are you talking about that whole debacle between Trump and Cuomo? I don't really know how much truth there is in that, especially like because Cuomo kept saying like we never had a conversation like this. So I can't really say. I'm not there right now. As I was saying earlier, I'm down south in my family's house. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's one of those things where like it's not clear like exactly, like technically the federal government could do some crazy stuff, but all that I've heard in the past from other government officials like Cuomo and other people, like doing some kind of like mandatory quarantine thing seems a little too much. Seems like it would cause a crazy panic. So I don't think that's likely. you got to think too that the president wants to do things that make him look good, and not look like a complete idiot. So he might look good by exerting some power over the New York elite or something, but if something goes awry, then he looks real dumb. Anyways, we're not going to talk too much about that tonight, but just to answer your question, since it was a super chat. But back to InMotion. Yeah, so the new wheel, I think you guys have heard, is going to have the serious shocks, if you will. Is that what we're calling it? Suspension. The suspension, from what I've seen and heard, because I do talk to those guys, is like, it looks pretty legit. I think the fine tuning will be the real take on it, but I've also seen photos. They've sent me photos of what it looks like. All I can say is this, without sharing those photos, because I'm not. If I share them, they won't work with me anymore, so I can't really do that. But basically, the new InMotion wheel looks sleek, yet very robust. So like it looks like it's gonna do what they promised and sort of be like a bit of a robust wheel that does off-road and has a lot of power and all the specs that they've kind of put out there, but it still has that InMotion sleekness to it, which is what I keep saying. I think it's going to rival the Z10 in the look department. You know, everybody gravitated towards the Z10 still because the aesthetics of it feel very futuristic. They feel really cool, like it's the sexy wheel. So I think that InMotion might be taking over that game once this wheel comes out. But I wanted to take today to sort of talk about some like techniques. So if you guys have any questions, or even if you want to share things, and I can elaborate on that too, about things you've learned from other guys, learned yourself, learned from me, techniques that might help the community. I wanted to talk about that tonight, just as far as like riding, whether it's an electric unicycle, or even I have some e-boarders that watch too. Like we can talk about that as well. Like any kind of electric mobility, like we're here to chat about what are some things that'll make our riding experiences a lot better. Because I'm actually also working on a long-awaited, ill-promised video of how to ride an electric unicycle. So this will be like my 101 video that's coming out sometime soon. Because I already put out like an advanced technique video, but I think after I've made this and the other one, I'm gonna have like a part 3. So basically I put part 2 out. We're going back to do the prequel, part 1, and then part 3 will be my like extended advanced technique thing. So that'll be coming out sometime soon. Also, I know it's kind of a weird thing to say out loud, but one of the ways you guys can support this channel, like Real Talk was doing earlier, is you can drop down and do a super chat. So if you ask a burning question and you really want to support the channel at the same time, you click that little icon that looks like a $sign, I think. And if you have like Apple Pay or something, it'll just like, you can pick percentages or numbers, like how many bucks you want to offer, and then it shows up real big for me so I can see it, and it just puts a little money into my bank account. It's like a little way to just support keeping this whole thing going, you know, because we're really here to just support each other and like build up the community and, you know, have fun while we're at it. Side note, I do have some interesting drone footage I've been shooting while I'm down here. I can share that with you guys if you want to see some of it. I'm not sure how it'll do over the live video, but I can probably pull it up here and you can see some of the interesting drone shots I've been getting down here in Florida. I'm just going to answer these trolls here in the chat real quick. Hold on. youtube.com/evxnyc, I believe, is my link. There we go. Jonathan says, "What's up, Mickey? It's JT. Hey, I finally learned to ride my 16X thanks to VT. Yeah, man, that's great. Funny enough, JT, I was just saying I'm coming out with a like how to learn to ride an electric unicycle 101 video. There's a lot of those out there, so that's why I've like avoided trying to make it, but a lot of people have asked me, so I'll be putting that out. So some of the tips I kind of gave you will be in there. You'll see those. They'll be familiar to you. But I'm curious, how long did it take you to learn from the day you got it, like when you started to really give it like a serious go? How long did it take you to learn? Very curious. Wow. Oh, and they have Krispy Kreme down here. So I have some Krispy Kreme. When you're on a mini vacay, this is what you got to eat, what you got to drink. So much better than being quarantined in my apartment up in New York. Looks like JT's silent. He's not writing back. Anyways, so I'm gonna throw this out there. What are some techniques that you guys are curious about as far as like getting better at riding and stuff? Let's see. Oh, VT is here. What's up, VT? What's up, VT? Okay, how do you... Earl wants to know... How do you sustain long turns on your Nikola? Cool. JT learned basically in an hour to ride a 16X. I definitely think that if you have someone teaching you like VT or you have some tips from the video I'm coming out with, you can totally learn to ride these things pretty quickly. So good on VT for teaching you. Yeah, so back to your question, Earl. How do you sustain long turns on my Nikola? Now, do you mean high speed, wide, sharp? Like, define that for me, because there's a bit of a difference. Yeah, sometimes you feel like your Nikola tends to go upright. You have to reset the turning position. Yeah, that's what that wheel will do. Tell me more, like, are you doing it slow? Are you doing it fast? Are you doing it tight? Or is it like a really wide turn? That'll help me sort of help you there. So higher speed with long turns. So kind of like what I talked about in my video that's on my YouTube channel about like 3 tips or whatever it is to instantly become a better rider. The real trick on the Nikola, or really any wheel, is you have to first like learn how to obviously lock one of your legs in place, but you need to lock your lock your outer leg in place on that wheel, so that if I'm making a left turn, my right leg would be the outer leg, and you're putting pressure down on the pedal obviously and outward, and then in on your calf to lock against the side of the shell. And if you lock the outer leg and then lock your leg itself, like stiff leg it, like stiff arm but stiff leg it, and then lean in, that'll help you keep it, because you're probably starting to feel little wobbles in those turns. That should help. And then you have to find the right positioning as to like how far forward on the wheel you are leaning into that turn. When I'm thinking about my wheel, when I'm doing those turns, like if I lock my leg in to where my heel is a little bit further inward towards the shell itself, that helps the lock like be really tight. And then I'm leaning, like my leg isn't straight up the side of the Nikola, it's kind of leaning forward a little bit, and my body is slightly off and over to the side, leaning forward. That's how I'm able to sort of keep it locked in place. I know that there are some guys like VT that they turn, and I do it from time to time too. I kind of alternate through my style, unlike what you tried to say. It just depends on the situation, how I ride the Nikola, but I think that like on certain turns, I will negate what I just said, and I'll push down on my, like if I'm making a left turn, down on my left, and lift my right leg, my heel up, and lean in and let the wheel just drop. I would always argue that is a very unsafe way to ride. Try it for yourself, but to me, like, if in any instance you did that and you hit a rough patch of terrain, it's the most unstable way. I get why people do it. It's a very like intuitive it feels nice to lean that way and to do that in the turn, and it can be very agile. But like I said, if you were to hit some uneven terrain at that moment, it's the worst way. But if you lock the outer leg, like I've had a lot of success with that. Chris Yim, if you guys know him in New York City, has a lot of success with that, and he's kind of taught me a little bit about that. Locking that outer leg in the right place will help you hit those turns really hard. All right, let me see where we're at. Uh, so JT says I still need to get used to the wheel and fix my stance and technique. VT's a good teacher. Yeah, when he's not being a jerk, he's good at being helpful for people. What's up, Duff? Finally here, first time here. Good, because I come to all yours. No guilt, no guilt. Zombie Riders in the house. No, I just think Ustride's video about all of us and like our riding styles was kind of like off. Mainly because it's partly his fault, partly not his fault. For like Chris Yim and myself, when he was showcasing us, he has like video from maybe a few years ago, to which is not indicative of our riding style currently. And some of the videos he used for me was like, okay, one was like the first time I ever rode the 16X. It wasn't mine. It was when Jason from Eagles had sent it out, and Chris Yim was doing a demo. I just took some video of myself with the 360 camera, I think, and made a 1 minute video. He took that and was like, "This is Mickey's riding style." And I'm like, that's like me riding a brand new wheel for the first time ever with a wider tire. Like that's not. Anyway, so some of it was kind of like way off. I think he's a nice guy. I just felt like that was kind of unfortunate that like there were better videos of some of the guys. Like VT's probably the most spot on because I captured video of him most recently. I don't really capture myself and my style all that much recently. Maybe prior I had, but my style now is a little bit different. Who's Ustride? That guy who keeps taking footage of me for his clips without any credit? That's him. So Earl's saying you do try to lock your outer leg, but you guess your leg isn't stiff enough. You want to play more with position. I've also tried the alternate heel lift, but feels awkward. Yeah, the heel lift can feel awkward. It was for me. I kind of learned how to do it over time, but I think try, Earl, twisting on that outer leg on those turns, just twisting your heel inward to lock into the side of the shell a little bit. See if that helps. Vicious grip tape helps, real talking here, tremendously with the cornering technique. It might. I mean, I don't feel like my foot's slipping at all on the stock grip tape from GotWay. I know some people swear by Vicious, and I'm sure it's great. But for me, that's not really. I don't know. It hasn't felt like I'm like slipping out. It's more like when you're doing the certain turns on the Nicola specifically is what we're talking about here. It feels like it's gonna wobble out on you. It's just like a problem with that wheel because it's not really that balanced. I still love it, but there's no perfect wheel. Yes, Ustride is the guy saying he's going 40 on his 84 volt MSX. Very, very questionable. Again, I like the guy. We hung out after NYEF. I just think that there was a couple of things that weren't correct, and yeah, it's a whole conversation. Thanks, George. Thank you. I try really hard with my channel, which is doing my regular life and my regular job and then family, and then this makes it hard to sort of like post that regularly, but I try to at least do like one video a month if I can. But thank you very much. I love to see you do more reviews and just to hear your insight as it's editing perfectly. It's on the spot visually. Visual porn. That's a good one. You're welcome. As I was saying earlier, I brought my office from New York here to Florida, so you're sort of saying this is like part of my setup. I'm a colorist by day, so I color grade TV commercials. I started as an editor, so that's how I have the editing background as well. And I've worked in film for over a decade, but this is my control surface here. This is what I use to color grade all this stuff. And then this is my monitor here I look at. But yeah, thank you. This is probably why it's all I know how to create, basically. The stock grip tape feels sketchy in the rain. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Ooh, you want to cut a template set? Sure. Make that happen. Uh-oh, who's hitting me up in here? Yeah, what's John Angel sending me a thing of me on his TV. That's like when you look into a mirror versus a mirror the whole time. Oh, you can't. I realized you can't even see that. Anyways, thanks, John. Glad you're here. I got you after the quarantine lockdown. How was the drive to Florida? It was not fun. It was long, and I tried to do it in a span of just 2 days with like one stop in between in Virginia, and so the second day was kind of, ugh. The second day was not fun. Ended up taking a lot longer because you had to stop for the kids a lot more, and probably one of the most stressful drives I've ever done. People love that vicious grip tape, man. Just keep coming up. What do I use as a horn, as a bell? Oh, I thought about bringing it with me, but I recently got this little thing called a Flick. It's F-L-I-C. It's a little device that a lot of the guys in New York use. Basically, if anything in this community pops up and is relevant to us, like we all gravitate towards it. So it's not meant as a horn, but it's meant to like control smart devices and stuff. So you can basically connect it to your Bluetooth speaker or your wheel or whatever, and set up. There's like automated sounds, and basically you like click it. I have it says a double click. You click it, and it makes a sound. So if it's connected to the speaker in your wheel, whether you have a Nikola MS Pro, Kingsong, whatever you got that has speakers, like you can send it out through that, and it makes like a loud, annoying noise. I know that Jack Wensu from Toronto has been working on a prototype for like a serious horn, which was dope. When he came to NYEF and we used that, every car was moving out of the way. I think it's like a mini car horn. So I hope he is able to produce it for more people. And I was like trying to get one from him earlier, but I think he said the prototype's not ready yet, or version 2 of it or whatever. But yeah, the Flick device you can find on Amazon for like, there's a 1-pack and maybe a 3-pack, but definitely look into getting that. You hear me and Duff are doing a collab video. Is that true? Are we doing that, Duff? Duff, maybe this coming weekend. Obviously not today, but this coming weekend on Saturday. Does that work? Should we do it? I'll come over there and we'll ride in the swamp or something. Let's make it happen. Let me know in the comments. What's it called? Duff says, what's up? Did I miss the road checks? There were none. This is all, look, I'm just an anecdotal one-person experience, but that is all fake news, man. There were no road checks anywhere. Plus, like, maybe if it was like random, but like the amount of, when you were crossing the border of any city in America, like on the highway, it's not like some grand entrance of like Disney World where there's like a thing you go under and it's like funneled into it. It's, you just sort of like on I-95 or whatever road you're on, and you just are on it, and then it's just like, oh, you're in Georgia. So like they'd have to shut down the highway at every state line or whatever state line they're trying to do it at with a full police force. Like that would be on the, you would see video of this on the news. So, like logistically, that doesn't even make sense to me. On an airline, that makes more sense, but driving, sounds crazy. What's up, Mad Pack? Yeah, man, aren't you in another country? If you come to New York, we'll set something up. We'll do something fun. George says, we have a 3D production company and would love to join in something soon. Won't bother you here, but I'll shoot you a PM if interested. Yeah, send me a PM, or you can send me an email, George, to info@shipyardpost.com. That's my company. That's our general inbox. So info@shipyardpost.com. Real Talk wants to know, why are the EUC companies secretive about their new releases? It would help the customers with future purchases. Because a lot of them are doing the same things. So, and they're trying to, it's business, man. Especially the Chinese they're more capitalist than you think, and they're trying to make sure that the next thing they have is just one more one up on the other guy. So I know that Kingsong and InMotion are coming out with pretty similar amenities this round for this year. But yeah, I think it's just capitalism, man. They're just trying to make sure that they have the next big thing. Even though sometimes, as you've seen at least in my review of the MS Pro, sometimes it's not all that awesome. Yeah, I saw the road checks thing, but honestly, Duff, the road checks is like, think about the logistics of that. It just sounds crazy, but never say never, right? So Bieber said. Yeah, you're in the UK. If one day Madpack says if I come there, it'd be amazing. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be traveling out of my country for a few years. I think I'm not going to mention it, but when it blows over, it might, for it to be fully blown over to make travel happen, like it might be 18 months to 2 years. Yeah, George, you got it right. Info at shipyardpost, correct.com. JT says, I did that. I thought I was in Virginia, then stopped for gas and asked the clerk what state I'm in. He ended up being North Carolina. Well, that's better if you were trying to go south. Yeah, the Florida Drive is at least to where I'm at. It's about 20 hours. So basically, I did 5 hours one day and then 15 the next day, but it ended up taking a lot longer than that. Yeah, so we covered some turning on the Nikola. JT, do you have any questions about maybe something you're struggling with on the 16X? I know a lot of guys have recently bought that wheel. It's a big favorite right now, despite the quality check issues. Yeah, driving straight once is... I couldn't even do it like in... Well, it was like really like almost like a straight full day and like a tiny day, but that was brutal. Yeah, so I basically had the runs by the time I got here because I was just pushing Red Bull and coffee and alternating that into my system just to stay awake. And it was just like, when you're driving and you're like just doing weird things to stay awake, like that was what I was doing. I was pinching myself. Oh, if it wasn't noticeable, I already have a sunburn from today when I was outside getting drone shots and shooting this new episode for the vlog. Like, it's been so long since I've been in the sun, being in New York, that I forgot how pale I am. So I have that redneck already. Sweet, new 16X video from Duff is up. Go to his channel and check it out. Not right now though. Do it after the live stream. Madpack says, between the 16X and the new MS Pro, which one do you prefer? So I was talking to Jason at eWheels about questions like this today. He and I have been talking about a way to potentially figure out a creative way to help the community make these decisions when they're purchasing. I know everyone's going to have their own reasons for buying certain wheels, but there's a lot of questions that people will be debating between a very unusually wide range of wheels. Not that yours is that wide, but it's kind of in line with that. So the 16X versus the MS Pro, it depends on you. But for me, at this point, I like the speed. But look, I've been riding around here in Florida, and the smooth roads, and like there's not really cars around. Like I was doing 35, but I could totally see it just being nice doing just under 30. So I think if you're the kind of person that doesn't have that need for speed, like the 16X is the most fun. You know what? Throw it out the window. I would pick the 16X over the MS Pro any day, and I would pick it. But if it was MSX versus 16X, I would take probably the MSX. MS Pro is the MS Slow. That is correct. Despite what people are trying to push it to ungodly speed, like we have to go by what the beeps are. When you when we were riding, VT and I were riding the MS Pro, it was like me, VT, David here in New York, like a lot of people rode it. Like when we pushed it, we were getting beeps at the numbers I said in my video. So I think you really have to, as we say, respect the beeps and abide by that. So anyone out there who's saying it's totally a 40-mile-an-hour wheel, like, or more, like, anecdotally, maybe you were able to hit it because of you were, a lighter rider, slightly downhill, and you just got lucky that it didn't cut out on you. But to start claiming this is like a normal thing for the MS Pro, like, that's just kind of irresponsible, and like you're gonna get other people hurt in the community. Like, I want to make sure when I talk about any review or a wheel, like, I give you like where we're hitting the beeps, where we've pushed it a little bit beyond that. Beyond that, if you're the guy that wants to push it even further, like, that's fine. But just so you know, like, when I talk about something, it's gonna be like a realistic, here's what we're getting, Anyways, but I would pick the 16X over the MS Slow every day. Let's see. What port of Florida are you in? I can't say. I'll just say it's Southwest. Smacked my face a few times. Oh, yeah, when you're driving? Yeah. Well, that flat face when you're making the Florida drive? Earl wants me to go more in depth on braking from high speeds and how foot position affects braking. Great one. Okay, so I should have brought my wheel in here. We'll use this. This is proper for a Nikola? For sure, like, when I ride, I have everyone has their own stance. I have my own stance, but I ride like, I need pedals really. But anyways, my right foot is like a little more protruding off the front than you'd think. My left foot is protruding way farther back than you'd think off the back. Something I adopted with this Nikola specifically. I did not ride that way in other wheels. I started doing that to a lesser degree on the 16X, but on my 18XL, which I used to have, I was almost parallel. For whatever reason, it felt weird to do something different. But then the 16X, with the wider tire, it made me switch my riding up. And then with the Nikola, I'm like really extreme. And sometimes I try to bring it back because I feel like it probably over like long periods of time would be less comfortable. But it definitely, I've noticed, helps with high speed, like hard braking. So if this is possible to see, like, let's get rid of this. My feet are almost like this on that thing. So everyone always says, like, if they're off center like that, if they're like a little off, you're gonna have a lot easier time of making a hard brake. I will say, for the first time ever, we did a group ride with the Onyx bike guys. I was the only guy who was able to keep up with those. I mean, obviously they can go 60, so I couldn't go that fast, but I was basically up with them the whole ride. But I was speeding with them, and then they stopped real quick because, I mean, just like a flick of a button for them. And I cranked hard on my Nikola. The first time ever I heard it like grind as I was braking. But when I do it for high speed on my Nikola, which you could apply to any wheel that has a tall enough base, like the MSX, for instance, or even the 18XL and the 16X, I squeeze my calves in also when I'm braking, and I try to do a little bit of a turn. I don't always. Some guys say you should always feel it out, test it out, see what works for you. But depending on how sharp and how fast I got to turn, you do a little bit of a turn. And then since my left foot is back, I turn left. I'm like, when I shoot pool, I'm a right-handed person. When I shoot pool, I shoot with my left arm back and my right hand forward. So I have this weird, somewhat ambidextrous thing going on. But anyway, so I'll turn left and crank. But when I lean back, I almost lean to like a sit. I'm on soft mode, and I sit almost and turn slightly, and I grip with my calves. That's why on my wheel, if you guys have seen, I just found this thing is on Amazon. There's probably a link in all my videos. If not, I apologize. I'll try to update that. For these just super grip, super cheap pads, because I feel like on the Nikola you don't need heavy pads because your leg just kind of like wraps around it nicely. But they're made for like motorcycles, but they're super grip, so I can just squeeze my calves and get that stability and like slight turn. And the foot position, as you're sort of alluding to, is more than half the battle. I don't really have to think about that at that moment. Like I almost fall into a turn a little bit. But yeah, that's all I have to say on that. What's up, guys from Rock, New York? What's up, Steve-O? Yeah, Def, I will be a zombie in no time. That was what all the New York guys said when I showed up here. About to handle from MSP versus 16X. The handle is better on the 16X than the MS Pro in a lot of ways, but the thing that always bothers me about Kingsong is if you're someone that lives in a situation like a walk-up apartment or something where you have to carry it upstairs, eventually Kingsong handles will fail within like a couple of months. You're gonna have to replace that. Where what I do love personally about a GotWay situation is there's always a physical handle that's not gonna break. I mean, unless you like smash your wheel or something. That's separate from the actual trolley. The trolleys are inferior, but for me, I got over that. And now the Nikola, at first that handle was insane, but I got used to it. Now I like that there's a fit. I'm never thinking like, oh, is today the day that my Kingsong handle is gonna pop loose and like have to like bear hug my wheel up into my walk-up apartment. So that's kind of tell us how you really feel about that, Mickey. VT is in here. He's tech junkie, by the way, so anything out of him is going to be some kind of troll about going fast. We love him anyways. George says, have you ever ridden a really small wheel like a 9-bot S2? I refuse. Coming from a small wheel like that, does a Kingsong 16X require a long, though, adaptation in your opinion? Long adaptation? No. With all this stuff, like we were saying earlier, JT learned how to ride in like an hour or two. So if you've ridden a unicycle, I would say like you can ride it right away, but just give it like a day or so and then you'll be like used to it. And then like I feel like with any wheel that's new to you, doesn't matter if you were on a skinnier or a fatter wheel prior, just give it like a week or so. I say 1 to 2 weeks and you become like one with the wheel. I sort of believe this weird thing that like you can ride a wheel and ride it good after like a couple hours or a couple of days, but then like after like a couple of weeks, you really find your stride with the wheel. So no, I don't think it's a huge jump at all. I mean, George, if you have an S2 and you're thinking about the 16X, go for it. Caveat as always with that wheel, fun wheel, love that wheel, but they have some strange QC problems still to this day. But if you buy from a reputable dealer and not from AliExpress, like if you go with eWheels or whatever, if something fails, like you should wear gear just in case, and don't push it too hard within the first week or two. That's the same for a GotWay as well. If something fails, it's most likely the motherboard issue, and eWheels can send you one. You can replace it yourself, or you're welcome to send it to them, and then they'll replace it. But you might as well learn to replace it yourself and be very careful and like work it out because it's kind of a good skill to have. I like to think that EUCs are kind of like motorcycles. Like it's good to be able, or a car, I guess, it's good to be able to fix certain things yourself. Not everything, but change your oil, that kind of thing. So swapping a motherboard is one of those essential things I think everybody should know. Duff says 40 miles per hour downhill. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, totally, you should do it. We'll do it together in the swamp. Jonathan or JT says, right now I'm just learning my wheel, so speeding up without the wheel wobbling and practicing my speed stops. Yeah, also keeping my heels out and straight and not touching the shell with my heels. Yeah, man, there's a lot of, like we were saying, there's a lot of techniques you can try to see what works best. I think you're on the right track. I don't disagree with anything you're doing. It just takes a little bit of time, that's all. Madpack says, cool bro, I have the Kingsong 16X in love, but would like a 16X with more speed. Yeah, sadly that ain't happened, which is why I had to sell mine off. But I sold it off and I got that camera that was in my last Ghost Town video. So, worth it. Yeah, not sending it with both heels off pedals. Learning the hard way. Hey man, I think that when you're learning, there's like steps. Like I said, I'm putting out a beginner video tutorial pretty soon. There's steps, man. There's steps of like you learn a certain way because it's easiest to get you on the thing and learning and riding and having fun because you don't want to have, a $2,000 paperweight. But then you can over time switch things up and learn some little advanced techniques and see what works for you. And everyone's body's different, like the way your knees bend. Like my sister was saying, she didn't want to learn how to ride one because she felt like when she does she's works out and she's a rep for Beachbody and stuff, but when she does a squat, her knees go in instead of out like most people. I'm like, yeah, I mean everyone's different. They might actually work in your favor on an EUC, but you just do what works for you, man. Earl says, I also ride staggered foot at the moment. Right foot dominant, slightly more out, torso slightly turned. Yeah. People always who ride with me are like, what the hell are you doing? I ride almost like I'm snowboarding, like I'm sideways here. More front. Okay, I got you. Madpex says, I ride the same way with both wheels I have. The difference between the Kingsong and the Z10. Yeah, well, we know. The Z10 ride without tightening the wheel between my legs. The Z10 is such a weird one, man. Again, everyone bought it because it's sexy. I get it. It looks so futuristic, but I would never buy one personally. The Z10 is better than the 16X. I would probably agree with that. I'm sure Sean, HSIMG, if you guys watch his channel, he loves his Z10. He would probably agree. Earl says, I also use soft mode. Soft mode is the way to go, man. I'll try the grip on the sides and sit back while trying the little S-carve. Yeah, go for it. See, you got to give it a good shot, though, Earl. If you just do it once and you go, that was weird, you got to, go to a parking lot or, find a spot in New York and, just speed up and then slow down quick and do it. The trick is you're not going to know if it works until you're at super high speed or in an emergency. So you got to do it a lot so it becomes second nature. And then when there's a car flying out in front of you, you can, then you'll be good. I heart VT. What kind of QC issues with the King 16X? The motherboard, the control board, it's having some issues where people would just overpower the wheel and it would cut out on them and they would faceplant. By the way, faceplanting is not that bad if you're geared up. People freak out. Usually it's a lot of people who don't gear up. Look, it's not fun for anyone, but yeah, I would argue gear up, have fun. Worst case scenario, you fall, you land on your gear, make sure you wear a full face helmet, and then call your dealer yo, I got the bad motherboard, give me the good one. But yeah, get definitely an authorized dealer like eWheels. Man, this thing is hard to catch up in the right way. Do power pads assist in your hard braking technique? Not on the Nikola. The Nikola is pretty nimble and really you can control it really well, so I don't need them. You could use them. Some people do have used those, but I don't need them. George says, I was debating between the 16X and the Nikola. I live on a stair walk-up apartment 4 stories high. Yeah, man, that I would consider if a Kingsong would work for you. Like I said, it for sure will snap, break, slip out, something like that eventually. The Nikola Plus is a good one. Although that stuff about being one is really true. It is true. UC is the highest level of human android feel type of augmentation. At one point, you stop commanding it, but just feel it. Yeah, for sure. The Z10, continue to use Z10 for heavy rain, snow, or... Yeah, I wondered if the Z10 would be good in snow. You teach people on the Z10? That's a weird one to teach on, to be honest. But hey. Yeah, if you buy strictly from Kingsong, there's no incentive for them to get you stuff fast. You gotta buy through a dealer. Madpack, if you're in the UK, I suggest either Speedy Feet or E-Rides. Because a good dealer will get the parts. Speedy Feet's been around a lot longer. It probably has a lot more play in the market, so he probably has more stuff, spare parts in stock. If that's something you're worried about, I think the guys at E-Rides, nothing against them. I think they probably are great, but I would imagine they don't have as much heavy hitting in the community with the dealers to have as much in stock, but doesn't mean you shouldn't go with them. So you can pick. The Nikola does feel like an 18-inch wheel when you first are like riding straight, but when you go over bumps and things, it definitely reminds you it's a 16-inch wheel. When you hit certain turns at off angles, or when you are turning and carving, then you can feel like, oh, this is super nimble. Unlike an 18, which would not be as nimble. Just got my CY tire for my Nick, like what the evX uses. Ah, you're excited to install that? Yeah. As much as it would ruin my ride time with Duff, I was wondering if Duff has a spare tire for the Nikola on hand, because mine is getting pretty bare. And I was thinking about potentially doing a quick tire swap while I was there. But I don't know if he has one hanging around. Anyways, that's off topic. I don't pay normal price at Kingsong because I review them. Ah, okay, I got you. Well, yeah, that comes with its own thing, Mad Pack, I guess. How many miles on my Nikola tire? That is a great question. I want to say, again, my miles are like NYC miles. It's probably around 1,000, if not more. I could check. For air in your tire, what do I recommend? I have a little, I don't know if it's here. I've got a little pump. Hold on, let me grab my pump. So I couldn't find my pump on the fly, but I use like an electric pump that looks like a cylinder, and I use that pretty often. It's really great. It's all electric. It's pretty contained. I don't know if I have a link for that in all my videos descriptions. I'm sure one of the guys could link you to something like that. There's like a few different Chinese companies that make that I bought on Amazon, but it's like, I think you type in like electric air pump or something like that. It just looks like a long cylinder, and it has like a little connector that attaches to it. But I did bring my Nikola in here so I could check the mileage for you. Let me see. Alright, let's turn Bluetooth on, turn the Nikola on. Alright. Should I do the GotWay app or the Darkness bot? Darkness bot, of course. Total mileage, 780.5 miles. Wait, that's not accurate, because I did swap. I had a motherboard that died or something. Yeah, I had a motherboard die. Not like I didn't have a catastrophic. Something was off, so I got a new motherboard. I'm pretty sure it's close to 1,000. Let's see. Where are we at? Got a CY tire. Duff doesn't have it. Oh, Patrick, what's going on, man? Is the Nikola reliable? All the stuff I read online, I've grown to take GotWay with a pinch of salt as a brand. So George, it used to be that way where you could not rely on GotWay at all. I would not have. However, since the MSX, they became a real powerhouse, and I would say they're just as reliable as the other brands, but all of them still, there's a chance of stuff failing. Like, it's not like, and I'm not trying to be bigoted here, but just like, there's a way that the Chinese are really good at putting stuff together and expanding and just pushing stuff out there, whereas a Western company would have a harder time for a lot of reasons, but also like the quality check would just be a little bit different. Like for example, when I got the MSP straight from GotWay, like the pedals that I got, it's the wheel that went to Marty eventually, and then to Chooch got it. The pedals were like at a 12-degree angle, and I had to file them down to get them to the normal angle. And so by the time Marty got it, he was like, "Mickey, you're crazy. These feel fine." I'm like, "Of course they feel fine. I filed them down." Literally, all it would have taken was any human to just go, boop, and pop those pedals out, and then they would have seen like, huh, that doesn't look like it's rideable by a human being. It wasn't like that old thing with GotWay where it was like they weren't flat, but they were a little raised, and people complained. This was like this, guys. I have a photo floating around the internet somewhere. Anyways, again, like the quality control, like one step should be like stand on the wheel for half a second. I don't know. Like you would have seen something was off, whether it was the pedal hangers, which it most likely was, or the pedals themselves. Like something was off, and literally just plopping those things open, you would have seen it because it stopped here. But aside from that, I think they're safe to ride. When you swap your Titan 16X, the first one was the CX321. I believe it was the CX tire. And then I tried the CST, which is the same as the Nikola. I like the Nikola tire better, but the tread seems to wear down pretty fast. And so that's the CST tire. That seems to be better for the rain than the CX. But I want to try a Chow Yang tire on the Nikola. I'm going to talk to Jason at eWheels and see because I need to swap soon. I have an extra CST, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to go Chow Yang or we'll see. But on my Nikola, I've been loving or having a decent experience with the CST. This thing is so far behind, it's weird. Okay. Can you put the link for Amazon for the portable air compressor? Oh, I can't put the link. Oh, I think you can put a link in this chat. But I'm pretty sure if you guys aren't aware of the Electric Unicycle forum, it's like its own website. You should go there, and surely someone's talked about it there. If not, again, I'll go, and when this video goes up, I'll try to throw the link in the description here once this goes onto like my channel as like a regular video. Is GotWay the leading manufacturer of EUCs? Have you heard of Iron Korea? GotWay is not the leading manufacturer. They're like in last place. So InMotion is the leading manufacturer. A lot of reasons for that I don't really feel like getting into. Not evil or anything. But InMotion, followed by Kingsong, followed by GotWay. If you think about it, it's because it's like, what's the easiest to jump into? Like the InMotion wheels are pretty docile wheels and a lot less expensive. Dude, anything below $1,000, more people will buy. There's no way these high-powered wheels are going to go below 1,000, but just from like a business perspective, anything below 1,000, like any dealer will tell you that stuff will fly off the shelf before the $2,000 wheel. So that's might be why InMotion is in the lead, but they make good products. Like I think, as you saw my V8F video, like it's a good product. GotWay's margins are a lot less, so dealers make less on them. So yeah, they're not. But as far as like, do I think they're like the best company like that I ride? Probably, yeah. You have 1,200 miles on your Nick. Center tread is almost flat. That's like where I am. GotWay. Where are we? I need to fix this. Like when I scroll, it goes like weird far. I remember when GotWay was sending out M Supers with 2 left pedals. So GotWay didn't send me the MS Proto review specifically. It was they sent it to eWheels, but it's like eWheels was having me do the review, but GotWay so Jason had GotWay just send it from the factory to me, so that's why I came from them. I do have the S2. This is what George was saying. When you touch it, it's quality stuff, off the charts. Comparing it to the MSX is like holding a Swarovski next to an old, yeah, definitely. There's a huge difference between those wheels. You're looking for a Z10, but I've read the horrid reviews about the driving style. Yeah, it is bizarre. Everybody loves it. It looks cool. Like I keep saying, it's the sexy wheel, but just I can't personally recommend it. If you want a fatter, go with a Nikola. If you want that interesting style, but the Z10's a bridge too far. There's a lot about it that was like, oh, this is good, and then wasn't great. In reality, that 4-inch wide tire is weird. It's just weird. Joe, what's up, Joe? Kamikaze Joe. Only delivery guys out right now, huh? That's to be expected. Everybody should be home right now. Have I tried nitrogen? Why would I put nitrogen in my tire? No. Why would I do that? Plus, if I had to fill up, I'd have to go find my tank. No, I have not. But I have put a GoPro in the front of my Nick. Let's see if we can have it here. Let's see. That's about as crazy as I've gotten. Putting a GoPro on the Nikola. But yeah. I don't know anything about nitrogen in tires. Sounds interesting though. All right. Oh yeah, Kamikaze Joe's allowed to go outside because he thinks he already got the virus. But joke's on you. Some docs are saying you might be able to get it again. Supposed to not leak, huh? No leaking with the nitrogen? That's interesting. Dang it, I said the V word on this. I was trying not to. Then they like don't allow you to monetize. You did it to me, Joe. Red nitrogen is no improvement for air loss. I'm not worried about the air loss that much. Like I just fill up whenever it, like I don't know, once a week or whenever I feel like it's feeling low. It's not really a worry for me. If you guys have another question about technique, I'll probably take like another 2 more, and then I have to get back to editing here. Last time we did a long one, but I might keep this one pretty tame. Is the situation grim here? Depends where you are. That's all I'll say. I don't want to dive too much into that. Yeah, I think there's only so much you can control. There's only so much you can do. If you do your part, if you do what you can to be clean and healthy, that's all you can really control. Which one do I prefer? My Nikola Plus. Out of all the wheels I've tried a lot of them. I've ridden extensively the MSX 100 volt, the MSX 84 volt, Kingsong 14S, Kingsong 16S, Kingsong 18XL, M103, which is a dumb wheel. Don't listen to Marty or Duff. I've tried the Z10. I've tried InMotion V5, V8, V8F, V10F. My Nikola is my favorite out of all of them. Climbing curbs. You riding it while here? Is that a question, or are you telling me something, Duff? Going up curbs, yeah, I can do that on my Nikola. There's a trick to it. I think Speedy Feet has a pretty decent video on the topic, but basically when you go to the curb, you just kind of have to go at I mean, depending how big it is, will determine if you can make it happen. And I think the angle, some curbs are curved, some are just straight right angles, but you just slam the wheel into it, get light feet, you sort of like lift off the pedals and drag it with you once it pops up. Depending on the tire type and how much air you have in there, you just can pop that sucker real hard and you just drag it the rest of the way. Kuji probably even has a video on this too. Not that I'm like scolding you. That came off wrong. But that's the basic premise of it. Oh, you want me to ride the M10-3? We'll see. What do you prefer compared to the 16X? I mean, my preference of like the best wheel that I think is out there right now, best all around, is the Nikola 100 volt. Yeah. So again, Earl, like, just if this is the curb here on my arm, like, you just kind of just ram it right up, and when you touch, you have to lift your feet like and get light feet. So you can't do it too early, or you might just fall off the front or something. You can't do it too late. You just do it like you just like once you hit, you feel it bounce. You get those light feet and drag the wheel the rest of the way over the curb. Oh, what's up, Larry? I'm a no-skill zombie rider from Los Angeles. No, you got some skill. You've eaten it hard on your Nikola. If I eat brains as opposed to a vegan diet, will my skills improve? Yes. Will I still be undead? Possibly. Oh, I'm going to turn this off. This is loud. The fans are loud on the new GotWays for sure. I feel like I'll launch myself. Don't go like 40 miles an hour. That's how you'll bust your rim. I just mean like with some amount of speed. Like 7 miles an hour or something at least. What makes you choose a Nikola? Just the agility of it all, like just how I can just put it wherever I need to put it. It's fun like the 16X, not as nimble, but yeah, I don't know. It's just the ride. There's something a little bit unsaid about certain unicycles for people. It's like the ride style, how it feels. It feels very fun to me. Again, someone asked if it feels like an 18-inch wheel. It kind of does in certain moments, and in other moments it feels like a 16. And that's good and bad depending on your scenario, but yeah. You know when you're in love and you just can't put words to it, you're just like, I just love her. That's kind of how it is. There's my kids crying in the background. Let's see. Hope all's well with you, Larry. Patrick says I eat only roadkill. 40 mile per hour curb climb. Yeah, I know that that guy, the young Asian kid in New York, did that. It did not go well for him. Yeah, I don't forget what the watt hour is I have on mine. Basically, I just buy from dealers, so I'm not getting wild additions to. I think it's 1845 watt hours. That's what the Nikola Plus comes with. But yeah, man, wheel choice is completely subjective. And some guys my wheel choice changed. Like I was like, oh, the 18XL was the best wheel ever. That's what I thought at the time. Then I got the 16X. I'm like, this is the best wheel ever. And then now I feel like that about this. So it just depends. But despite the crying in the background, unless you guys have any other pertinent questions, I might call it. We've done a good hour here. It was very fun, but I have to get back to editing so I can put out more content for you guys. So cheers, and have a good night. Stay safe. Don't go anywhere. If you're going to go somewhere, stay like 20 feet away from people. Wear a mask, wear gloves. Listen to the people who tell you what's up. And we'll see you guys real soon. Yeah, don't hug anybody. Don't do that. But the joke around town is the thing can't catch you at 40 miles an hour. So go fast on your unicycles for sure. All right, keep riding, guys. Talk to you later.